We're going to hear from Eva Engelken from Germany, and she has just published a book in German on gender identity ideology. Eva Engelken is a journalist, lawyer, and dissident member of the Green Party. So thank you so much for coming on and telling us about the book and about what's been happening in Germany and happening to you. So over to you.
I'm Eva Engelken. I'm German. I'm mother to 3 almost grown-up children. I do love language and I develop my thoughts typing them on the keyboard. So if I speak, this sometimes doesn't work out really. So Joe said I've written a book. This is true. I published it myself, and it's called Transinnen, No Thank You, Why Women Remain Unique and are unique and will remain being unique. Why this book? I love politics. I always did. And when I was just approaching 50 and my children didn't need so much attention anymore, I joined a party, which I then believed stood up for women, the Green Party. This was a deep misconception. The Green Party effectively is a toxic green squad of ideological people that betray women's rights, drive us under the bus, and tramples on democracy. I began to suspect this in 2020. I joined the party in late 2018, and this was when J.K. Rowling posted her famous tweet about women not being menstruating people, and I defended her. And then I found myself being considered a TERF and being considered transphobic and everything, but you know. And with this event, my journalistic interest was aroused, and also I felt like that my personal values of speaking up the truth and being open-minded and being clear-minded at the same times were questioned. And then I drilled like a worm into the gender identity, and I realized that what Sheila Jeffrey meant when she said this is a sexual men's rights movement. And at the same time, funnily, in the public then, at 2020 now, luckily this has changed, in my private environment and my job environment, there was complete ignorance of this thing. Maybe sometimes when people start drilling into it, coupled with the fear of being considered somehow phobic or somehow maybe even racist. So well, a few time passed. I found it necessary to write a book, which was an easy, accessible book that described without academic approach how trans really just is, and Amy, she proved this, it's just another form of the same old male attempt to make women invisible, to make women shut up, and a new form of witch hunt, which we have lived through the centuries. So I described the witch hunt in the centuries in my book, and I compared it to the nowadays witch hunt. So as I'm not going to read you my whole book, I'll read a little bit of it later. I will come to what is at stake in German. So here you see the title of my book. No, it's the correct translation, Transinnen, No Thank You. This is the gender star, which we have in German, which you don't have in England, because we have the gender, which has a different ending if it's female or if it's male. So no thank you, why we women are unique and will keep being so. So this is something from the chapter 4, what are we to fight in Germany? I'll give a brief overview about the proposed German legislation, which is far worse than you can actually imagine. The source of this legislation now is, it's all it is ongoing. We have some laws that are already in force and some that are plans that are going to be laws soon. We have the action plan Queer Life, and we have since last year a queer commissioner of the federal government, which is a man who says no man can recognize from the outside which sex one person has. He is non-surprisingly a member of the Green Party. It is actually the Green Party, as I mentioned, who is driving this whole movement. And so what are the plans and what are the projects that are already being, here we find the new pride flag. And I'll briefly outline not all 4 of them. That's the Self-Determination Act. There's a few laws which I call muzzle laws, because they put in German we call it Maulkorb, something to mute women. So, and third, we have a new parentage and family law reform, which is combined with self-determination. And we have in this action plan too a claim to health insurance reimbursement for all things related to gender reassignment. I'll explain the reform plans to parentage and family law reform. This is still plans, but well, the plans are slowly sort of entering German society and German laws. It is not just one single law, but it is a sort of a whole bunch of laws and regulations that will softly enable this to enter our legislation. One thing which I find remarkable is the multiple parenthood. This means that up to 4 people can be parents, and notably the mother who is born, given birth to the child, must not be or is does not have to be a member of this parenthood. And with self-determination law, we can have 4 parents, 4 mothers who aren't actually mothers, but men who claim to be mothers. I said this, we have moms with testicles and penis, which is the self-determination law. I'll come to that in a minute. Also, part of the plan is legalization of surrogacy and ovum donation. At the moment, it is still forbidden. We have a law that comes from the Nazi time that forbids any kind of manipulation on ovums and fetuses. But until now, the woke community has managed to enter a lot of changes. And I must say that when Germans do changes, they do it very thoroughly. And if they're walking in the wrong direction, they will go even further than the rest. We have seen this with, well, I'm not going to mention the pandemic, but we have seen this there, and we have seen it in earlier times that Germans tend to be to do it very well organized. And if it is that the aim is bad, they are still doing it. We have a new thing also. This is called community of responsibility. This is something that enables families with several mothers and several, which is actually the Islamic law. The Islamic law has one husband and several wives, and this would enable this into German law. And of course, yeah, we have moms with testicles and penises. Also, of course, we have lesbians with testicles and penises, so why shouldn't we have mothers? I should have explained this earlier. We have the reform plans of self-determination, which is the German Self-Determination Act. we are quite proud as feminists that we have prevented the first attempt to introduce Self-Determination Act in German law in 2021. But now with the new government, they're trying it again. And our success is that we have been able to postpone the legislation. So it's not enforced yet, and it's being, it was going to be enforced at the beginning of the year, but now it shall be summer, and maybe it will not, we'll be able to completely prevent it from coming. It contains, as you all know, a redefinition of the concept of sex, like gender identity. And in Germany, we will have a change of the civil status from the age of 14. And if parents don't agree, then the family court can overrule their veto. And we have, speaking of muzzle laws, we have an Offenbarungsverbot, a disclosure ban. We must not disclose that a man in a frock or a man in a skirt is actually a woman. So we must not name him a man while he wants to be a woman. And if we do so, there can an infringement be imposed on us up to 2,500 euro. This is for misgendering in the trans vocabulary. And this is even stronger and worse than in Scottish law, because every person, not only authorities, must obey to this disclosure ban, but everybody. So in Germany, then every woman that is in a sauna for women only, she must not tell a man who is thinking he's a woman that she's that he is a man, but then she's liable to this fine for infringement. Continuing with muzzle laws, speaking of the fine for infringement of disclosure ban, we have something that is slowly being introduced. We have an NGO, the Antonio Amadeum Stiftung, which has installed a reporting board, and this reporting board is also can be used for queer hostility. And remarkably for hostility and animosity, hate speech, but below the legal threshold. So even if it doesn't fulfill any legal, any laws, you can still report people there. And we have a new law. This is coming. Maybe it will be prevented yet. This is a new whistleblower protection. You all know whistleblower protection, and in Germany, this is also nice to have whistleblower protection for people in companies reporting crimes and everything. But again, this has been extended to, for instance, teachers that don't obey to the queer or who don't want to teach gender ideology, who maybe don't want to use textbooks or school books that teach gender ideology. Excuse me, I have to drink something. With this new law, they can be reported to new reporting boards installed in public authorities, also for schools. So what we are heading to is some kind of, something very non-democratic, so to say. Can you tell me the time? I've lost track, Joe. How much more time do I have?
You could 10 minutes more would be fine. So
10 minutes more? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
We've got quite a lot of time today.
Okay, good. Then I go one step back. Yes, well, what we face in German law is that we with quite a few laws that are sort of slowly undermined by gender ideology and the word sex being replaced by gender identity. And yes, and our task is to inform the public on this. Okay. No, sorry. So what are the goals of these reform plans? It is to make women facing legal, like black-facing, women-facing. It is a disenfranchisement of women. Women speaking up for their rights are being banned. It is undermining the constitutional right to equality. We do have in our German constitution a very strong right of equality. The state has to take measures to enforce the equality between men and women, which makes the stance for women very strong. But if self-determination comes to German law, and if the notion of women is disembodied, then there's no more right to equality, as no woman can say I'm discriminated on my sex. The other goal is to make legal the exploitation of the female body, the female reproductive capacity, and it is the aim is to make it legal, the witch hunt of women who fight back. If you tell women this, they're very, oh, okay, they're very surprised, and they don't want to believe it. And but the good thing is that women in Germany are slowly waking up, and also the media is waking up. And now we are sort of in a situation where gender critical or gender identity ideology critical women and media and are fighting. And yeah, what are we to do? We have to do the same things we did for centuries. We have to enlighten the public, we have to resist, and we have to protect what we love. So I'm coming back to my book, because this is my personal example of the last weeks and months, or actually almost years. That is, we are trying to inform the public and to override their strategy of no debate, while stirring up debate everywhere we can go. We have a very new, nice, we have several small organizations. One of them is the organization of called Let Women Speak, or Lasst Frauen sprechen, which organized a demonstration in Bonn, in front of the Green Party gathering. And so if you see here on the left, there's someone from the Greens saying, okay, TERFs are gathering in front of the BDK 22 and are spreading their shit. The recommendation is to pass quickly, but they didn't, well, they looked at us and they listened to us, and which was good. The book I published, which is, well, this book, this is a good example for the heated debate, and you will see this has already, I'm proud to have 100 stars, not 100 stars, but 100 description on my book. And here I have an example how the debate is polarized. Just one person saying a really important discussion, very a book, this is very informative and for the current situation. And then the opposite side says it's a TERF Panikmache, which is they're panicking these TERFs, and it's an example of Transfeindlichkeit, of transphobia. And the thing is, which you know, that in Germany we have the public broadcast, which means that every German has to pay 18 euros per month for the public broadcast, which is the ZDF and the ARD. And but the public broadcast has should be neutral and should be, but it isn't. It is actually completely pro-trans. And we had in October, it was a broadcast, and you see the title, Woher kommt der Hass? Which means where comes all the hate from? And it's not the hate towards women, but it's the hate towards trans people. And the whole report was very one-sided. And I mentioned this because I was involved. I was a guest of this report, and I was being interviewed in good faith. I had two reporters in my house, in my personal four walls, and I was giving them answers for like 3 hours. They were sitting and pleasurably talking with them, and then it was broadcasted, and with this one-sided title, and then the very person that interviewed me the next day on Twitter wrote, this is, I don't know if you can see it, Sylvia Duve, this is the reporter, and he described my book as a book in which manipulative disinformation and conspiracy ideology is disseminated. And because of this, so I'm doing degraded as anti-Semitic, racist, TERF, everything. And so what are we going to do to, okay, here's some more media coverage, which is also very pro-trans. This is ZDF. This is the second German television against J.K. Rowling Hogwarts Legacy. It's completely one-sided, and ZDF is using the trans vocabulary with transphobic, describing her acts as being transphobic, and so it is quite a thing to be a woman, or to be many women, but to have the strong public broadcast against you. And I'm still taking with another brave woman, or many who helped to do this. We're doing a program complaint. We've put together like over 80 pages to describe how one-sided and how misogynistic this whole program was. And tomorrow I'm speaking again with a lawyer to to see how good odds are to sue them. To this, what you see down is the Rundfunk Berlin-Brandenburg. This is a broadcast of Berlin-Brandenburg, and the good thing is this RBB is already in the defense, as the former chef has been dismissed on charges of Untreue, of corruption and bad governance. So perhaps we have a little chance, and actually we don't have a chance, but we are still trying it. Some days it's hard to fight. And unfortunately, our opponents who want to impose their opinions on us have long since occupied their posts in parliament and organizations, their lobbyist positions in institution and supervisory boards. If you realize the influence of the other side, on some days you just want to cry, because it seems as women who insist there are countless roles, but only 2 biological sexes don't stand a chance. As if the path to a new Gilead that disenfranchises women has been mapped out. As if we were certain that more and more of our daughters are identifying as queer or non-binary and doing things to their body instead of confessing that they love women or are otherwise non-conforming. And yet, there's a reason for hope, because women and mothers have already survived many thousands of years of patriarchy and regained their freedoms against all narratives, philosophies, and ideologies with which it sought to justify their subjugation. The 21st century poses a new challenge to women's freedom, which is unprecedented with its unprecedented concentration of power and money in the hands of a very few wealthy individuals and global structures that buy entire states and media corporations anyway. They can exert more pressure on women than the Inquisition in the medieval ages ever could on heretics and on women accused of witchcraft. But women can throw a spanner in the works. They can come to terms, as the woman described in this book did. They can stay on good terms with their daughters, like the mothers with daughters who tell, I've described them in here, who tell they are trans. They can stay in the conversations. The suffragettes took to the streets. They negotiated, they fought, they backed away and came back, and they kept at it. And in the end, they achieved their goal, each with their unique skills and with their will to work for a better world for women, a world where women are and remain unique as you are. Make something of it.